Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Kissinger at the Citizenship Academy in Syracuse, New York. This is Grade 5, Module 2, Lesson 29. Today, we're going to continue what we were doing in Lesson 28. We're going to be solving division word problems involving multi-digit division with group size unknown and number of groups unknown. So again, we're not going to know what the size of our groups are. We're not going to know how many are in each group. We're going to have to figure that out as part of our word problem. So getting started here, number 1 says Lamar has 1,354.5 kilograms of potatoes to deliver equally to 18 stores. 12 of the stores are in the Bronx. How many kilograms of potatoes will be delivered to stores in the Bronx? So I always like to use my read, draw, write strategy when I do word problems. So I'm going to do RDW here right on the left side of my paper. Just reminds me to do all the steps to kind of move through this word problem. So let's read through it again, and this time we're going to circle our numbers. Lamar has 1,354.5 kilograms of potatoes. So I'm going to circle my numbers and my unit. To deliver equally to 18 stores. 18. 12 of the stores are in the Bronx. How many kilograms of potatoes will be delivered to stores in the Bronx? So I've now read and I've circled my numbers. I want to also look for my important terms in there. When I see the word equally, to deliver equally or distribute equally, I know that that's going to be either multiplication or division. Now, we know this lesson's on division, so we're going to assume that it's division. But the way that you might know if you weren't sure if it was multiplication or division, whenever we're splitting total up into parts, that's going to be a division problem. When we're taking equal parts and we're putting them together and trying to find a total, that's going to be multiplication. So when we have 1,354.5 kilograms of potatoes delivered equally, separated equally, or divided equally, we know that's going to be division. 12 of the stores are in the Bronx. How many kilograms of potatoes will be delivered to stores in the Bronx? So now we want to take that once we figure out how many are being delivered to each store, we need to find out how many of those in 12 groups are going to make a total of the number of pounds delivered to the Bronx. So in this case, how many will be delivered to stores in the Bronx? We're probably going to be using multiplication here. And I know that this word of 12 of the stores are in the Bronx. We know that we're probably going to be multiplying there. But let's start with the first part of the problem. So it says Lamar has 1,354.5 kilograms. So let's draw a tape diagram. I'm going to cross off my read because we read the problem. We're on to our draw part here. Now, the total number of kilograms of potatoes is 1,354.5. And if they're going to be delivered equally to 18 stores, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to do ... and then 18. So we know that there's 18 of them. And how many pounds of potatoes are going to each store? That's the first thing we need to figure out. So the way that we're going to figure this out is we can do the total number of pounds of potatoes divided by the number of stores. And we can figure out how many pounds are going to each store. So we'll do 1,354.5 divided by 18. And then we start by looking, okay, can we put 18 into 1? No, we cannot. Will 18 go into 13? You can't put 18 into 13 either. Can 18 go into 135? 18 can go into 135. How many times? Well, I'm going to round 18 to 20. And I'm just going to skip count by 20s here. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, until I get up above 135. So let's see how many times 20 goes into 135. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 140 would be too much. So we'll start with 6. Now, because we're estimating, we might need to adjust that number. But let's start by doing 18 times 6. 8 times 6 is 48. 1 times 6 is 6 plus 4, and we get 108. So if we do 108, and we subtract that from 135, I have to borrow here. We're going to get 2. 15 minus 8 is 7. 2 minus 0 is 2. So we got a number larger than 18. So we didn't go in enough times. 18 can go into 135 one more time. Rather than redoing my multiplication here, I know it can only go in one more time. So I'm going to change my number up here in my quotient to 7. And then I'm just going to subtract an extra 18. And that's going to give us 9. 27 minus 18 is 9. I'm going to bring down my 4. And now I have 94. Let me use my estimation again. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 is too much. So we'll go 20, 40, 60, 80 4 times. Now we need to do 18 times 4. And 18 times 4, well, 8 times 4 is 32. 1 times 4 is 4 plus 3 is 7. That gives us 72. And we subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. Oh, look at it happened again. So we know it's not going to be a 4. It's going to be a 5. That's why we need to check. So 18 can go into 22 one more time. And then 22 minus 18 is 4. And then we're going to bring down a 5. 18 can go into 45. 20, 40, 60 would be too much. We'll estimate that it's going to be 2. 18 times 2 is 36. This time we only get 9. So we were correct with that estimate. We're going to bring down, we have to remember we already brought down this 5. It's important to keep everything lined up. So we need to add a 0. So we're going to add in the hundreds place here. And we're going to bring our 0 all the way down. And we get 90. And we have to figure out how many times 18 goes into 90. Now, I know 9 times 10 is 90. And 18 is 2 times 9. So 18 is double 9. So 18 times 5 will also be 90. We can check it if we're unsure. And we'll find that 8 times 5 is 40. 1 times 5 is 5 plus 4 is 90. So we'll get a 5 up here, and we'll subtract our 90 down here. I'm running out of room a little bit. That's okay, because we're all done. And then we'll get the answer up here. Our quotient is 75.25, or 75 and 25 hundredths. So that's how many pounds are going to each store. But our question is, or not pounds, kilograms. How many kilograms are going to each store? But our question is, how many kilograms will be delivered in the Bronx? And we know that there's 12 stores. So I'm going to make another tape diagram here. And I know that each one of these 75.25 kilograms, .25, 75.25. I'll have 1, 2, and then I'll have 12 altogether. So I need to now, like we said, we need to multiply 75.25 times 12. Find 75.25 kilograms times the 12 stores that amount is being delivered to, and we'll figure out the total amount of kilograms of potatoes that's being delivered to the Bronx. So let's do 75 and 25 hundredths times 12. And we get 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Yeah, 5 times 2 is 10. Carry our 1. We have 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Plus, and then we need our placeholder 0. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 1 is 5. 7 times 1 is 7. And then we need to add. We get 0. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3. 5 plus 5 is 10. And then 7 plus 1 plus 1 is 9. So I get 90300, but this is not my final answer. I need to move my decimal point back 2 places because I have 2 place values after the decimal point here. So my decimal point will go right there, and I'm going to get 903. So I'm done with my drawing. I drew my 2 tape diagrams. Now I need to write my answer in written form. And I'm running out of room here a little bit, but I'm going to squeeze it in here. 903 kilograms will be delivered to the Bronx. And there's our answer. As you see, this can take a lot of space, so I always like to use a separate sheet of paper when I can. It's a really good strategy to use if you do have a piece of scrap paper to do all of this, all of this extra scratch work on as well. So now we are done with our write, and we are all done with our word problem. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you next time.